So, just continuing the process of getting closer. We will have a mock game Sunday night as opposed to Monday because of school issues. Try to simulate that the best that we can, get our guys used to how we prepare for that. Also in that process, over the next 4 days, get out of camp legs and, be very mental but very limited physically, because we're beat up like always at this time, and understand, if you made it through, you're going to be better for that, but we got to help them get back now.
You may have sort of just addressed this, but have you essentially shifted to the Louisville prep part now, or are you still technically kind of in camp?
Today was the last day of technically like half, so still very heavy, taxing physical work and preparation. With both fields going all the time for the most part. So now we go into, I get these days confused. So whatever tomorrow really would be no sweat Thursday, then fast Friday, and then the game, which I guess would be Sunday, the normal Saturday. So they'll get their legs back a lot now.
It's maybe beating a dead horse at this point, but with the season getting closer and we know coaches who have said they will or they won't take the vaccine, we know your stance on it. Do you have thoughts on other coaches, or do you just kind of worry about, your team and your program and how they're moving forward?
I mean, we got our own issues, so I can just speak why we did what we did, and I wouldn't understand that, but everyone's got their own reasons why they do things. I couldn't go to our team, not get vaccinated, and say, okay, hey, we're going to work, we're going to prepare, do all this work for a game. And also, what if you tested positive a couple of days before the game? Hey, sorry guys, thanks for all your work, I won't be there because I didn't get vaccinated. So I'm sure people are different, but that would make no sense to me as a leader of these guys, that most of them really didn't know what to do. And like I've said before, a lot of people don't get it because they're just lazy and selfish. So, whatever.
Kind of following up on Jake's question, I'm curious, since you guys are completely vaccinated, next week going into game day, is there a testing protocol, or are y'all free from that, or how does that work?
Yeah, we're for the most part free from that. I think, at one point some guys still were, because there is a window where, you're not free from that because it hasn't kicked in yet completely, especially if you're the 2-shot as opposed to the 1-shot. So I think there was some of that still going on, but that would be over now, I would assume.
Hi, Coach. Mike Fitzsimmons. I'm a former player here from the 80s, played for a wonderful man, coach, changed my life, named Billy Brewer. And, we talk about schematics and how good you are calling out, isolating plays, and put players in position. That's all great. You guys change kids' lives. What's the secret sauce, Coach? Because I've been around on the staffs, and these youngins love you, and they respect what you're doing, and it helps them recruit. And it's not the Nick Saban way, which you're more than gracious to kind of learn and use what you learned from your father and everything. But you've done something different here, because these kids, it's a whole different, it's a Lane Kiffin deal. And I want to thank you as a former player and all the young club guys. We appreciate what you've done. You hear?
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I think that's changed over the years. I think when I got into coaching and was younger, initially head coach, like, hey, my job not to be your other dad or an on-course. I'm here to get you to the NFL and get you paid the most money on draft day and prepare you to play really well and teach you how to do that. And I think over years, it's been documented. I've said before, I think going to FAU and being with so many kids that aren't going to the NFL, you get a different perspective. And, I'm not saying everybody changes with age, but I think that's part of it. And I just look at it different now. So many of these kids are just lost. We had a speaker that, I meet with our speakers afterwards, talk to him about things, and, he made a point. He said, just remember, you got a lot of kids that have no fathers on your team, and their default is their coach. So that's a pretty
coach, and I appreciate you as a former player. And I'm proud and happy that you're there. And I just see what you do with these kids, and nobody talks about it. We all know that you can coach, and the offensive side, you're gifted. But I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Coach, is there a position or two that you would like to see some depth surface, some players start surfacing?
Yeah, a lot of them.
How about name one or two positions for us?
Maybe after we've been here about 5-6 years, hopefully, we'll have that depth. We're not concerned about that. But, we got a lot of that issue. It's been well noted on defense, offensive line, tight end injuries, receiver depth. So really majority of our spots, we're really concerned about the depth and developing that depth. And so we can play more players because we'll be better over the course of the season if we can do that versus taxing these guys out and playing them so much. And even though receivers were still good at the end of the year, but, when you don't sub in very much like us last year, those guys will 2 of the 3 route by the end, or 2 of the 4 route by the end of the year, and so wears you down. So the more we can play, the better we'll be at the end of the year.
I'm curious, you've talked about depth a lot throughout camp. How much more confident are you in some of the guys today than maybe you were when you guys started August the 10th or 11th or whenever that was?
I think there's a good amount of that on defense. We had so many mid-years on defense come in, including some junior college and transfers and things. So I feel better about that. We're still a work in progress at some other positions and injuries, which are normal in the format we do. We have a very hard camp, harder than we used to ever. We kind of, people that follow us, we mix really Alabama's camp, with our own in-season. So we do in-season a lot different, but camp is very tough. And, we see that at this time, not many guys, many position groups standing right now. And that's why we spend the next 4 or 5 days getting them back.
Kind of on depth again, but heading into game week next week, have you seen any movement between Luke and Kincaid in terms of that QB2 spot, or still kind of evaluating?
We have not. Luke's been limited still in how much he can do, and so those guys are still in the competition. Man, you're tough today, huh? Jeez.
I'm new on the beat.
He's got somewhere to go, I guess.
Well, as a Philadelphian crossing the Mason-Dixon line, I'm curious about the 2 freshmen from Philadelphia, a kid from my former high school, Tysheen Johnson, I believe, and I know he plays with an attitude, and as a former defensive lineman, Talik Robbins, coach. Could you give us an update on them, young?
Yeah, both have done really well. Talik got here a little bit later, so a little bit tougher transition. But Tysheen has been awesome and playing different spots for us. I think we'll play significantly even in the opener.